Today, I'm being joined by my friend Morgan, who has just kind of started knitting a little bit more seriously, thanks to my tutelage. And I couldn't resist saying that. And she's gonna tell you a little bit about her knitting during Works in Progress. But I wanted to start off with, and you can do whatever you want while we do this part.
Great. I will do that.
I know. I think we're gonna feel a bit silly because she's never recorded, and B, I've never recorded with another human, so we'll just try and work our way through that little episode. So really, I wanted to welcome and thank people who have recently joined Instagram or Facebook or Ravelry or our blog or YouTube, and so I'm so glad that you were able to find us and jump on the bandwagon and see what we're going to do. We had a couple introductions on our Rav group. One of them was Sarah from Yarns at Yunhu, who was the first podcaster I reached out to talk a little bit about the project, and did a wonderful job and was so willing and welcoming, and she has since joined my group, and I wanted to just thank her for her kind words, and which were very encouraging. She talked a little bit about how podcasting has changed, I believe, the filter through which she sees her craft, and I'm not direct quoting there, but the word filter really was resonating with some thoughts that I had, and I wrote her back, and I talked a little bit about how, in fact, that's true. When we are on the podcast, we have the ability to talk to others of our kind, if you will, and really what that came down to was language, and the use of language that I have with other people that knit or spin or farm versus the everyday kind of civilization that I interact with. So I was thinking a little bit about that language difference that Sarah had kind of brought up, and so that was a really nice reflection that she kind of brought home for me. The other new introduction to our group was Hey Jude, 555, which actually 555 is one of my favorite restaurants in Portland, Maine. Thank you very much. And she is from northeastern Kentucky, which is very cool because I don't know anybody from Kentucky, and now I have somebody from Kentucky in my group. And quote from her introduction, which really rung with me or resonated with me. I'm taking a class in articulation and resonance, so that word just automatically keeps coming up. But she had talked a little bit about growing up on a cattle farm and, quote, affinity for taking care of the animals that take care of us. She has an affinity for taking care of the animals that take care of us. And I don't think there could be a better summation of how I feel about the world than that. So thank you, Hey Jude 555, for that very poignant offering. For those of you who may have followed the blog know that I have 3 dogs, and they are very much a part of what I do every day during the day and why I choose to stay at home and knit, so I can be with the dogs. So actually, in truth, we can thank the dogs for their undying ball and chain ownership they have on me. So most of the time that I spend free is knitting and home with them. I don't have a lot for down the pike. I had a pretty big family weekend, and we did quite a bit of merrymaking, and that involved some Scotch sampling, which was quite fun. This one's for you, Louise of Caithness Craft Collective. I just wanted to highlight a few of the Scotch samples that we had. They were selected based on a variety of reasons. Most of the group members that were there are Highland malt or Highland single malt aficionados and or Lowland Spaysides. I tend to be the only Islay drinker in the group, and Islay is a version of Scotch that's very medicinal, and it has a lot of iodine and seaweed overtones to it. It is exceptionally smoky. So if you blend smoke and seaweed and iodine together, then you drink it, that's what that's going to be. So I picked up Lagavulin, which is just fun to say. But we also had Oban and Balvenie, and we had a Jura, which is, Jura has a couple different, I don't want to use the word brands, but they have a couple different versions of their Scotch, and we had the Superstition, and you tried the Glenmorangie.
Yes.
Or Glenmorangie, which is, they have a couple different versions as well. They tend to be a little bit sweeter. So she had the Nectar d'Or, the nectar of gold. And how did that go down?
It went down.
It went down. She made a little bit of a mistake of drinking it with food, which doesn't always bode well.
No,
For
it
it.
got better.
It did.
It did as the ice
After like
melted.
5. No, I'm just kidding.
After the 8th.
We did drink it on the rocks. We did drink it with a bit of ice. Sometimes people like to drink it neat. Sometimes people like to import the water from the region from which the Scotch was distilled and add it in tiny droppers for just the right bloom on that bouquet. But we didn't do any of that. We just put ice in it and down it went. So we had a lot of fun, and we were thinking highly of you, Louise, up there in Inverness. So basically, we just want to shift gears and get into. This is the first time too I've kind of done this in front of somebody else. So basically, we want to shift gears and we want to get right into works in progress and finished objects. The most important finished object I got for my birthday, and I should have had it on, but I didn't. And Morgan made this for me in honor of our Star Wars, my Star Wars affinity, and now her Star Wars affinity, because she had never seen Star Wars, the original 3.
At all.
At
Not
all.
even the original 3.
No,
I'd
not
never
even.
seen Star
No.
Wars.
Not even a little bit. She didn't even know what the Wookiee was.
Nope.
I mean, so I've done a service for the world, and I have shown Morgan all 3. We did it in a marathon last Sunday.
It's fabulous.
But she had found, or I had found this and asked her to do it, to crochet this up. So it is crocheted, and then I think these parts are braided, and then she adhered them to the skull or the hat part.
Yeah.
I have plans to make my nephew a Yoda cap with, it's a hat and you tie it, it has Yoda ears, and then my sister-in-law is going to wear this. And then I really want my brother to go as Chewbacca because he's like 6'2" and kind of a rugged guy. But he seems to think he's going to go as Han Solo. I'm not sure that is the best synergy of character and match. So we'll see. So this was a great FO that Morgan was able to crank out. I'm going to start with my works in progress. They're the same as they were last time. So really, I mean, unless you want to look at gray yarn, I know, it's always gray. I am like 1 row away from transitioning to the lavender. So frankly, I'm not going to show you what it looks like. And I'm still working on the Rhoda cowl. I think I've done 3 rows. And as you know, the Burnham Wood capelet sits in its project bag with a broken needle. I'm thinking I'm going to order some sock rockets to try that, and a little bit of cascade yarn to finish the Vivid blanket by Tin Can Knits. Webbs is having a big sale, so I thought I'd just throw that in. So that's sitting there, and I just don't have the heart to work with it right now. So, I know, thanks. So I've been working on the Gillis by Stephen West. How about you? What are you working on?
I am working on this cardigan that I can never remember the name of.
It's Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Yep.
I'm working on the Sullivan cardigan and Cascade 220, and I can never remember this color either. It's like that.
I don't remember the
It's
name.
got
It's a heather.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it might be some magic purple.
I love that.
Or
Magic
something.
purple.
Magic
We're
purple.
in.
That's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah. So can you hold it up?
Yes, I can hold it up. And I can hold up my, I'm a little tangled here. I got these stitch markers. So,
Scary to Mary. We
Scary
love
to
her
Mary.
in this household.
So this is it right now. If I can get it all here. Here we go. So this is the
Perfect.
color. That's obviously the wrong side. But that's the border. So this is the edge of the cardigan. And these are my stitch markers that Sarah gave to me from
Who can resist
Scary to
hamsters?
Mary. They're little hamsters. Sorry, I'm just trying to hold it all together here.
Join the
Show
club.
you guys how cute they are. Can you see that? No, I'll have to pull it
Yeah,
back a little bit.
this.
They're little hamsters. This one's got a little carrot. They're just about the cutest things I've ever seen. I love them.
Those are scary to marry. So,
Very exciting.
and this has some noops in it, so we're learning about noops or nups or whatever it is you choose. And this is also going to have a inset sleeve that we're going to work out. So we're going to work a series of short rows. So that'll be something new.
For me.
Yeah, for Morgan. So, but Morgan has fallen into the abyss. You're going to learn a little bit about that in acquisitions and discoveries, which as a knitting teacher, I have not done my job because we're going to cast on for another project, even though we still have this project going, and you'll learn a little bit more about that. She finished her first sweater
Yes.
this past fall.
Fall. No,
Winter. This past winter. Sorry.
Just like a month ago.
Yeah. And yeah, so she's moving along. So
Very exciting.
yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's it for you.
This is all I'm working on right now.
Yeah, we're gonna remedy that.
Hopefully not next time.
Hopefully not. Yeah, not next time. We'll pass on for that tonight. Hopefully.
Yes.
So speaking of that, we're gonna move right into acquisitions and discoveries. I didn't have a lot to talk about, obviously, with my projects, which is part of the reason I kind of coerced Morgan into joining us because she has a knitting project and she has some really good acquisitions. So for Morgan's knitting day, which is kind of her birthday, but we use the word knitting day as a secret code word because she doesn't like to celebrate her birthday. We all got each other knitting gifts, and I got Morgan some Loft in the Barn Owl colorway from Brooklyn Tweed. And she's going to knit the Guernsey Triangle shawl in that, which is a Jared Flood. And here it is. And that's not quite true. It's lighter brown than
lighter
that.
than this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to cast that on tonight.
Very exciting.
Yep. We're psyched about that. And notice it's not gray, but it's pretty close to gray.
It's got a little light brown.
I know, but wait till you see what she bought herself.
Yes. Very exciting.
So, which will look a little bit like what we just saw.
Yes.
So, Morgan also bought herself some Quince and Company to do Piper's Journey, by Paula Emmons-Husley.
Yes.
I think I said that correctly. Anyway, Prairie Piper on Ravelry and the Knitting Pipeline. Quince and Company, this is
Chickadee and the Twig colorway.
And
so,
that is sport weight.
can't tell. Yes.
I
think it's a little bit more
darker than that.
and it's kind of got like a, I don't want to say pink, but like
Yeah, it's like a rosy brown.
rosy brown.
Yeah.
And it's called Twig, and I love it. And I have just enough for one Piper's Journey, and then for an additional Piper's Journey, one for me, one for my mom. Not sure which one I'm going to give her yet.
Or not.
Or not. Is also Quince and Company Chickadee in the bird's egg colorway, which I love.
But you could actually do the band and that.
I could.
So you could, because those look really good together.
Yes.
They're beautiful.
I love this.
Yeah.
And that it's
It's a little bit bright.
it's a little bit bright on the screen.
It really is a true robin's egg blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's gorgeous. I'm really happy with it. Came in the mail today. Very exciting day at the post office.
Very exciting day at the post office. Because we live in Millinocket.
Yes, we do. So yeah, those are my
So that's the
acquisitions.
acquisitions,
Very
which
fun.
I'm like by proxy living
Yeah.
through Morgan right now.
And my needles came
And yes, for
for my Guernsey
Exciting.
Triangle, which I've been waiting for. So now I get to actually cast on with that. So that'll be exciting.
yeah.
Yay!
So she'll have 2 projects on the needles. So really what I wanted to talk about, because I had nothing else to really share, obviously, was a little bit about an idea I had for a knit-along. And this kind of came to me because my husband is getting ready to cast on his next project. He finished his hat. I don't have it here to show you. He squirreled it away like he does most things. And he decided he wanted to knit some socks a little bit under duress from myself. So, being the traditional kind of guy that he is, he immediately picked up Folk Socks by Nancy Bush and immediately went right to the page where the socks that are gray are. You can kind of see them right there. And said, I want to knit those. I was like, great, gray socks. Wonderful. I was like, this is why you and I got married. So we were futzing around in the stash a little bit and came up with a couple options for him, which originate from Orkney. I bought one of these on our honeymoon when we were visiting my friends on Edie. Orkney is an archipelago that is north of Scotland but below Shetland, and it has a set of Northern Isles and Southern Isles, and my friends live in the Northern Isles, and they live on a smaller island which is about 8 miles long and 3 miles wide, maybe a little bit more than that. And so from the mainland, Orkney, so mainland, that's what they call the port. The Northern Isle, it's about an hour and 40 minutes by ferry from Kirkwall, which is the main city. There's two, Stromness and Kirkwall, to Edie. If you go out beyond Edie, about another 3 hours in total from Kirkwall, you'll come to North Ronaldsay, which is home to the North Ronaldsay sheep. And North Ronaldsay sheep are another dual coated breed. We talked a little bit about that in the last episode. They have two coats. They have a guard hair and a insulating wool. And they, in the 1800s, were fenced off the main island and have primarily existed on seaweed for most of the past 200 and some odd years. So very interesting history up there. This year I hope to get to North Ronaldsay for the first time. But Rob was digging around in the stash with me, and we came up with the possibility of knitting those socks out of this, which is North Ronaldsay wool. This does include both the guard hair and the undercoat. It also includes some Kemp. Kemp is kind of indicative of some of the primitive breeds. North Ronaldsay are slated to have been around since 1200 BCE, before Common Era, making them an Iron Age sheep. They are connected, though, with further evidence to 3000 before Common Era, in some of the early settlements, the primitive settlements up in Orkney, including Skara, which is an early Stone Age settlement. I say that, I don't know if it's Stone Age. 3000 isn't, no, that's not. Hard to believe I taught history. Anyway, they have some very ancient overtones, let's put it that way. So he's picked this out, and when he did that, I started thinking a little bit about my aspirations for Maryland sheep and wool. I just about had a coronary last night, and Rob had to lay on the sedatives. When I found that the Finger Lakes Woolen Mill was going to be at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and they are one of the primary processors of Hog Island sheep fleece. Hog Island sheep are another feral breed, if you will. I say another. Sometimes these primitive breeds can seem a bit feral because they don't get a lot of handling. But the Hog Island sheep were left to their own devices on one of the islands off the coast of Virginia, one of the barrier islands. And because of that, they developed a number of characteristics, one of which is that they became conservation or rare. So when they were removed from the island by the Nature Conservancy, they are only a few flocks under care right now. And I thought that would be probably one of the most meaningful items. It's 8 o'clock, it's going to ding 8 times. One of the most meaningful yarns or fleeces or fiber I could bring home from Maryland Sheep and Wool, because it is so rare. I thought that I would talk a little bit about the origin of the name and why perhaps they may have been called Hog Island sheep, or it may have been called Hog Island. So it was settled about 400 years ago, and after, as I said, the sheep were kind of left to their own devices. If you look at terms used in animal husbandry, the word hog or hogget, which is used quite often in the vernacular of the family that I stay with when I'm over in Scotland. It's a reference to an age of a sheep. And while it may differ throughout the husbandry world, the hog is any breed, any sex sheep, male or female, that is up to a year and has yet to be sheared. So there's hogs, hoggets, and there's also gimmers. And gimmers are female sheep that are weaned but have never been sheared, and they've never lambed. So you have hogs, gimmers, and to use appropriate terminology that I learned in Scotland, we also have yows. So yows are animals that have given birth and been sheared and would qualify for an adult. The other piece of vocabulary I thought I would bring up is the word tup. So most Americans are familiar with the word ram, which is the virile male sheep. I love it, virile, but that's a breeding male. So somebody that's got all the equipment that they need to reproduce. And in Britain, they call them tups. And they call the season of breeding tupping. So those are just fun words to have in your working vocabulary. So hogs, hoggets, gimmers, tups, yows. Yows is just a derivative, or maybe not even a derivative, but a cousin to the word ewe. So that's just a little interesting information. So as I thought more about Hog Island and North Ronaldsay, and Rob was knitting these socks, and we've been talking actually a lot about island wool. We talked about the Faroese fleeces last time. I thought it would be fun to do an island wool knit along. And I'm going to put a couple resources in the thread on Ravelry. And if you'd like to participate, it can be any project you want if you knit with island wool. That can be, I was thinking about the word island because obviously New Zealand is an island and Tasmania is an island. Those are very big islands. But I'm game for that. If you want to, seek out some more obscure areas, I will link to that. For example, Faroe, North Ronaldsay, Nash Island off the coast of Maine. I think there's a farm on Vinyl Haven in Maine, and I will look at some other potential island dwellers off the west coast of the United States and Canada, as well as the Isles in Britain and Ireland and Sweden, etc. So the Gotland is also an island sheep. And if you're feeling like you want to participate, but you're just on the cusp of jumping into the obscure, then obviously Shetland would be a great choice. And also Sue Blacker of Blacker Woolen Mills, Blacker Yarns would be a great way to seek out some island wool. So Falkland Islands would be also up for grabs too, which is a little bit more mainstream. So a lot of opportunity there and a lot of resources. So we're gonna post that up there on the knit along for you. And my husband was the inspiration, and he will be knitting with island wool. We'll be knitting with North Ronaldsay. So I am headed to North Ronaldsay this August, and I'm really looking forward to it. So who knows what I'll bring home, because I am going to have quite a bit of yarn in Britain shipped to that address, so I don't have to pay international shipping. And then I'll fly it back home with me. I just thought of another one. Iceland, of course, would be an island that would count for your project. So that's really it for this week. I just wanted to kind of throw that island knit along out there for you. There will be prizes, or a prize. We only have 60 members in the group, so I'm not sure what that will be, but it will most likely be yarn of some sort, something to try. And Fiber Trek is moving along. I have the logo. You may see that in the group thread. You may see that on Instagram. And really, Tyler and I are just looking forward to heading down to see Jenny Estelle and Mary Jane Mucklestone, yay, at the end of the month. So.
And business cards.
And we get our business cards. And Maryland Sheep and Wool. And we got t-shirts.
Very
and
exciting.
I picked the color. So there will not be any neon, but my mom was very much into the neon. And I was like, no, let's just get a nice neutral, Mom, and people can see that. And if you're going to be at Maryland Sheep and Wool, I have pins. Please come up and talk to me. And my mom talks to anybody. So she's the director of special ed. So she'll talk to anybody. She's really out there. Sometimes I don't want her to talk, but for the most part, I'll be there with my husband and my mom and my dad. And yeah, please come up and chat with us. And
Be a good time.
it'll be any time.
Yeah.
So,
Very exciting.
well, I'm going to grab my little remote. I know you get to watch me point it at you. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Morgan, for being such a good sport.
Thanks for having me.